We have a lot to talk about today. Injuries, pain, suffering. Just another week of fantasy football at Finding Value Fantasy. Let's get into it. As always, TVP and I are back with Treasure Tuesdays, and no, it's not that bad, but it is very painful. The injuries this week just looming over us, looking over our shoulders. It's not great, but makes a lot of waiver candidates open, and we just gotta be dynamic. You can't sit there and molt and sulk as a fantasy manager. You got to just move forward, and that's the hardest part. And it's painful, but it's a fun game we play.
Yeah, it's been a sad week, but all we can do is pick our heads up, look to that juicy waiver wire, spend our fab, and hopefully hit on one of those guys.
That's right. How you feeling, TVP, after last week? Did you have a good week of fantasy?
Actually, my team scored 60 points. I think that's not very good. I don't know what you guys think, but yeah, just not my week. But Lamar start and had to start Wandale in a pinch. Didn't equate to a lot of fantasy success there.
That's all right. New week. I got DJ Moore this week, so that was fun. I got absolutely demolished. My team actually did okay. Otherwise, Brees Hall looks like he is back, so that feels really good. But DJ Moore is not fun to play against. Also, I lost Anthony Richardson, so going to be scouring the waiver wires for a new quarterback because he'll be out probably for like a month. So definitely some ideas we'll give you guys for quarterbacks this week too. But yeah, anything else from the weekend you wanted to talk about?
I mean, not yet. Just I'm ready for.
For the waivers.
Waiver stats.
Waiver for the waivers. All right, I am ready for waivers too. So as always, Treasure Tuesdays. What it's all about. We're just gonna go over a little bit of the last week of fantasy. We're in week 6. Week 5 just closed, just finished up last night with that disgusting Raiders Packers game. Luckily, me and TVP didn't have to watch the whole thing. We were playing soccer, so that was nice to not have to save our eyes from that. But definitely some fantasy notes, some notes from that game. AJ Dillon actually had an okay game. Something to monitor is I don't really think there was a lot of information about Aaron Jones before the game. From my understanding, he was expected to play, and then all of a sudden he just did not play. So clearly that hamstring issue is lingering far longer. So AJ Dillon might just be on waivers in your drafts, in your leagues. So I would pick him up if he's available. Definitely someone worth fab too.
Absolutely.
And Devontae Adams, I don't know what's going on with him. He may not be healthy either, but otherwise, Jacoby Myers seems like a locked and loaded starter every week. He gets a lot of work, and I think Jimmy has an eye for him. He kind of likes throwing in the ball, so I think he's coming on.
Yeah, so I did see a stat where 9 of Devontae's routes, they ran the ball a ton last night, so routes were on the lower end for the Raiders, but all 9 or 10 of Devontae's routes he ran against Jair Alexander, he did not see a target. So that's a guy that is a shutdown corner. I don't really blame Jimmy Garoppolo for looking toward Myers if he had a weaker matchup. So I wouldn't be too concerned. I think next week we'll see Devontae back up to 10 targets.
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain he was fully healthy either.
Yeah,
so
that definitely
would. Yeah, that definitely could impact a little bit as well. Yeah, I'm not concerned about Devontae long term, but hopefully they get some wins because I don't think Devontae's very happy. Hopefully they get some W's. But I mean that game was interesting. Definitely some interesting stuff and some waiver wire pickups from there. But we'll hop into the name of the show, Treasure Tuesdays. We'll talk about our waiver candidates that we like, kind of, and we'll always give you guys like a general fab suggestion, but nothing too you don't have to stick to it. You can, it all depends on your league, depends on how much your league mates use their fab. Like maybe they don't ever use fab. Maybe they use it a ton. Maybe they overpay for people. I think it really matters, especially if you're like desperate for a running back. Maybe you got to spend more. So we're never going to give you like a full on guaranteed you should spend this amount or an X amount, but we will give you a general like guideline of how we feel about it. And maybe we'll even give you guys like an information about what we would spend given our situation if that that helps a little bit. So definitely context matters in your league. So don't just take advice as like, all that matters.
Yeah, like if you need a running back, you're probably going to have to spend a little more fab just to secure a guy. Whereas if you think if you're okay on running back, but you like a guy on the waivers, it's probably not worth dropping the same amount that you would if you needed a guy.
Right. Yeah. And right now, you're not the only person in your league that needs depth. Everyone is hurting. I mean, most people are hurting in some way from all the injuries recently. So we can go over that real quickly before we hop into the waiver candidates we like, because we'll kind of go hand in hand with that. Justin Jefferson, one of my favorite players in the league. Super sad stuff. He's should be back. They don't really give us a timeline, but he's going to miss 4 games. Going to be on IR for 4 games at least. Could miss more. Could miss the season. I really hope not. But yeah, I hope that the Vikings can like show some promise because there may not be incentive for him to come back to play after this injury's done. So I hope he comes back. I assume he will, but just something to, if you're struggling, your team's struggling, I think he's worth trying to sell, even if you have to sell low. I know it's hard to do, but we're 5 weeks into the season, about to be week 6. It's really, really time to get your teams in order. If you are, struggling, if you're 1-4, 0-5, it's really important to try to not hold on to biases and just try to win every week. Take it 1 week at a time and try to win. So JJ's out for 4 weeks on IR. James Conner as well. On IR as well, so definitely some waiver wires to go through there. You got any more injuries, TVP?
I would say Khalil Herbert. Looking at Chicago, and just that whole backfield kind of got torn to pieces this week.
Yeah.
Depending on whether if Roshan clears concussion protocol, he's definitely the guy. I do think if you need a running back starter this week, oh gosh, what is his name? Deontay Foreman. Yeah. He's the guy that I would look at as a just plug and play against Minnesota. The Chicago Bears offense has kind of been unstoppable almost these past couple weeks, so I would keep rolling with that. They've been efficient, and that includes their running backs when they've been healthy. They lost all of them last week, but up until that point, Khalil Herbert was like 10 for 76 rushing.
Right.
So if Roshan is missing, Deontay Foreman's a plug and play flex for sure.
Agreed. Also, Devon Achane, my hero, is unfortunately going to miss at least a couple weeks. Maybe could go on IR too. A little bit of ambiguity with that. It sounds like he's getting a second opinion on that knee issue. Sounds like he'll be back regardless, but definitely opens up some more waiver wire opportunities as well. But yeah, it's just some tough times. But yeah, makes Jeff Wilson and Mostert look better. But he looks like he's going to miss 2 weeks for sure, maybe 3. And then who knows after that in terms of Achane. So definitely something to monitor. He could go on IR, but we don't know anything for sure yet.
It's very murky, this whole running backs on the waiver wire this week. Obviously, you've got Jeff Wilson, who will be in a crowded backfield when they're all healthy. Roshan could have the potential to take the reins in this backfield, so I like him possibly as a number 1 pickup. Especially if he clears concussion protocol. If that's the case, he's locked and loaded, the guy that I would want. Amari, he's going to probably split touches with Keontae Ingram when he comes back from his injury. And then you have guys that might still be on your waivers, like Justice Hill, I think is worth a roster spot. He's kind of been getting the majority of the snaps for Baltimore, and including the valuable touches, the goal line and receiving work. So I'd rather have Justice Hill over Gus Edwards personally.
I would agree with that. Let me go ahead and pull up our waiver wire on our league real quick here. Here we go. So I think in our league specifically, Ty J is available. I don't really know if that's going to be the case for most leagues, but I would be picking him up immediately. Yeah. But I don't think he's available in every league, so definitely worth looking. Algiers there too. He's a good handcuff running back at this point, but not someone I would be dying to get. But as TVP mentioned, Amari Deem, I think it's DeMercado or something like that.
Yeah,
he's on the Cardinals. Definitely someone to pick up. Keontae Ingram is dealing with an injury. He was the de facto running back 2 in the offseason, so I'm not really sure how that will shake out if/when he returns. But it sounds like he'll DeMercado should definitely get some work regardless. So definitely just worth the pickup because you're just scourging for volume on waiver wire right now. Any other running backs you like?
I will say about the Arizona backfield, they did sign Tony Jones. So that's another, you never know what happens. There was the Cardinals signed, what's his name? They traded him from Miami that one year. Oh gosh, he's on the Ravens now. Kenyon Drake. And like the day before they played the San Francisco 49ers, and he had like the entire share in the backfield. So it's always interesting to see when they sign a player, how much work that they might get. But let me see. Chuba Hubbard, if he's on your waivers, he's an interesting guy to have because he's pretty much splitting this backfield with Miles Sanders, who hasn't been healthy. So if something happens to that groin, which he already re-injured this year, Chuba's a guy that you could maybe be ahead of, being on or snagging him. I think that's probably all for the running backs this week.
Okay, so rank your top 3 if you need production now. Don't include Tajay, Algier, those guys, but if you need production now, who are you picking up this week? Top 3.
Number 1 for me is Roschon if he passes concussion protocol, but I would say he might not be available in a lot of leagues, so I would go Deontay Foreman if he's the only guy that's healthy this week. Number 1. Then I would go I'd probably go Imari. And then probably Taji next.
Okay. Don't mind that at all. I think I'm probably, if Ty J is available, I'd probably take him pretty up there. But I think I would say if you need production now, I'm either taking one of Roschon or Foreman first. Whoever's available, I'm taking. There's a chance Roschon doesn't play, but I think regardless, Foreman's going to get work. There's no way he's not getting work. And I would take my shot on Amari for now, in terms of Arizona. And then otherwise, I would just take a shot. If you really need something, I'm just taking either of the Ravens running backs that are available because they're just as likely as anyone to score a touchdown. And that's all you really can ask for.
Honestly, Latavius Murray.
Murray's good too.
Buffalo's going to destroy New York. They're going to destroy the Giants at home. So the backup running backs might be getting a lot of work. And goal line work he kind of gets anyway. So I could see that being a spot where Latavius Murray ends up with 12 to 15 points.
Yeah, no kidding. I agree.
So he's another guy if you want to just, try to be cheeky and play something like that. It could work out.
I think,
for you.
You're always on a touchdown.
Always high risk. Yeah.
But if you're looking for something, I think that's not a bad idea. Let's head to receivers now. We'll talk about a couple we like, and then we'll rank our top 3. How about that?
Yeah.
All right. I like this group. Kind of looking at this group. I mean, obviously notable guys: Josh Downs, KJ Osborne. The Lions guys are somewhat interesting. The Titans guys, I guess, are somewhat interesting. Obviously, as we mentioned last week, if Rashid Rice is on your waiver wire, I'd be picking him up already. I assume he's most likely rostered. I have some deeper targets I kind of like, but I like KJ Osborne a ton. Obviously, Jordan Addison, if he's somehow on your waivers, that would be a guy I'd spend all my fab on to get. Osborne, I think this is the time that they're going to unleash Jordan Addison now, but I do think that let's go ahead and take a look at utilization last game for those Viking receivers. But Osborne runs a ton of routes. He's done every week. He's run routes. Addison's pretty much stayed steady around the 70% range. Got up to 80 one week, but I think this is the time. Like Osborne isn't going to be JJ. No one's going to be JJ, but I think Addison has a better chance to at least like be dynamic in a way that Justin Jefferson is. So that would be my bet to do something. But I mean, your guess is as good as mine in terms of like who's more productive between Osborne and Addison. Because ultimately, like long term, I think Addison should be much better. But they seem to really want to get Addison or Osborne involved in the offense and continuing to give him targets. So, there could be a case where you prefer Osborne over Addison, but Addison long term is going to be a million times more, like so much more upside. But in terms of like next week, I couldn't tell you who I think is going to score more points personally. I mean, I bet on Addison still, but I do think Osborne's going to get a lot of targets. Same with Hawkinson, of course.
Yeah.
So I like him. I like Osborne as a pickup for sure. My favorite pickup probably this week.
Yeah, I view him similarly to Joshua Palmer. A team that, if you want to pull up the passing statistics here, so they're on the higher end of early down pass frequency. That may change. My mouse stopped working. What the heck? But yeah, Chargers aren't on this, but I know they were higher up. But when it comes to passing on early downs, you're going to see Vikings higher up there. So I do think he'll be a volume play. There was a stretch last year where he had 12 points, 28 points, 15 points, 16 points. So I think he can be productive.
Okay. Yeah. Don't mind that. I guess I could see some correlations between Palmer and Osborne for sure. They're both not like something exciting, but I think they're going to be usable, both of them, down the stretch here. But yeah, who do you like at receiver, especially?
Sorry, my computer I don't know what just happened. What was the question?
What else do you like at receiver this week? That's all.
Oh, like you said, Rashid Rice. If you pull up the rookie wide receiver statistics, it's just like the snaps, dude. All he needs are more snaps. Look at look compared to Puka when it comes to the targets per out run.
I noticed he was on the field last week. He's mad.
He's like right there. So if he just gets those snaps, he's gonna be fantasy relevant. Even this week, he had a touchdown. Like he's by far the best receiver on the Chiefs roster right now.
Yeah, it honestly mind-boggled me the amount of snaps he ran last week, but
yeah,
I imagine it'll go up eventually.
I don't know if he's just doing something wrong, and maybe whenever he when they get that figured out with the coaching staff, if he can get up to 70% snap percentage, like he'll be I wouldn't be surprised if he's a top 24 wide receiver. So he's a guy that I really, really like. I'd honestly rather have him over Quentin Johnston or, I would rather have Addison, of course, but Rice is a guy I really like. Josh Reynolds, if he's available, he's been really productive. He's a guy, I think he's a wide receiver 3 you can almost start weekly. He looks good too when he plays. Like he's winning contested catches and things like that. And that offense is just you want pieces of that offense.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't think anyone's going to be surprised if none of the Chiefs receivers do something. But if you're going to say one of them is going to do anything, it seems like it's most likely Rashee Rice. But I mean, you've seen the situation where obviously he's not Tyreek Hill, but you've seen the situations where a player emerges as a receiver. It's happened many times in offenses. Like you can go back to Justin Jefferson a few years ago where he wasn't getting snaps. He was behind like Amir Smith Marset or something. I don't remember who it was. And then next thing you know, he's getting snaps, scores an 80-yard touchdown. And then next thing you know, he's in the 100% snap share, 80% snap share, and he's just a dude. Like he's getting a lot of targets, involved in the offense. Obviously, I don't think Rashee Rice will be Justin Jefferson, but I also think that in a Chiefs offense, just imagine they got as a larger someone gets a good target share. Instead of spreading it between 6 players, it goes to Rashee Rice and then the other 5 or the other 4 players or something like that. That makes a big difference. Obviously, Kelsey will get his share, but just getting a little bit of consolidation of targets and snaps towards Rashee Rice, extremely fantasy relevant in an offense like the Chiefs that will score points.
Not only that, but like the matchups for the receivers for Kansas City is so good, and just no one's going to take advantage of it except Rice, really, because he's the only guy that really wins one-on-one. I mean, Kadarius Toney's there. I don't know. I don't even know about him at this point. I don't think he's worth rostering.
Yeah, he doesn't get enough.
Shows us something different, but
he doesn't get enough target or like snaps. But the upside is Rashee Rice could get more snaps, and he's already doing a lot with his low amount of snaps that he gets. So I like him a ton. So let me get your top 3 receivers this week. In terms of let's go with this list.
Yeah, with ours.
With this list here. What's your top 3? And they don't have to be on this page if you have someone else you like.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd go with Mike Williams. I think he's the best of it. KJ for sure. He'll have at least 4 weeks of value. Number 1. Then I'd probably go Josh Downs because of he'll see consistent targets with Minshew now. I think. Because it was clear, like he got 12 targets that game that Anthony Richardson left with a concussion and Minshew came in. Now that Tank Dell is hurt, Robert Woods sees a lot of snaps in that Houston offense. So I do like Robert Woods for this week.
Yeah, that's a good shout, honestly. Not a bad shot there. Looks like he ran 66% of the routes. Tank Dell ran 40%. Obviously, he left the game early. Mechie was getting a lot more work than you'd expect. Obviously, I think Robert Woods slots in there, but it is interesting to note, maybe not fantasy relevant at this point, but Mechie is getting more work.
That is
I think good to see, but I do know that Noah Brown is, I believe, going to return soon. So
is he?
That may throw a wrinkle into things. I
completely forgot about him.
Yeah, I don't think that changes Nico Collins at all, but it could affect Robert Woods and obviously like Tank Dell when he returns too. So Tank Dell obviously may miss a week. If he gets dropped, I'd pick him up too. Definitely always keep an eye on your waivers for people that drop injured players, as it'll happen all the time. People are desperate, and you can just always scoop on a guy that is well worth a roster spot.
I did forget to mention Deontay Johnson is available.
Oh wow, yeah.
Too. So
yeah,
I do have a waiver claim for him. I think if he's available, he's coming back soon. He'll be a nice safe play each week.
So how much fab exactly are you spending?
What the heck? That's such a question, man.
I don't have a waiver. I don't have a waiver claim.
I'm not putting a whole lot on him, just because Pickens is emerging in this offense too. So I think they'll be sharing. I don't know. I maybe if you're really wide receiver needy, he's not gonna probably play this week, I would assume. Yeah. But I'd say $10 fab.
Yeah. I think this is a good week to really be smart about what you're doing with your fab and things like that. But I think it's hard to say. I think if you're desperate, obviously you should spend a good amount and spend your top waiver priority, whatever whatever applies. But I think if you're not desperate, there's a lot of great waiver options, but no one that stands out so far above the rest. And there's a lot of there's a lot of risk with some of these guys. Like Amari, there's a ton of risk there. If you pick up Foreman, there's a ton of risk too. Like Foreman's going to get work, but if Roshan's healthy, he may not get much. Amari might just get passed by Keontae when he gets back, or they might split it 50-50 in a not great offense. That's not fun either. So there's a lot of risk. So if you burn too much fab, it could really burn you. So I think based on your situation, if you're really desperate, obviously do what you have to do. But I think being smart about maybe maybe I'll bid a certain amount on all three of these guys that I like. And maybe I'll get one of them. So I've done that before. I feel similar about receivers too. Like Osborne's probably my top receiving option, and then Josh Downs is number 2 as well. And then on this list, I actually do like. Oh man, it's tough. The third spot. I'd probably go after a guy like, man. It's pretty gross. I have some deeper guys I like, but I probably would just take Shaheed as he's been scoring touchdowns, and I think he has a role in that offense. And I think Carr's going to get healthier and throw the ball down the field a bit more. Saints offense is okay, but he's there him and Olave are their deep threats, so he's kind of fun to play. Obviously, you have high risk, high reward play, but someone that could score you a touchdown any week. Kind of like him.
One sneaky guy is, in my opinion, is Nelson Aguilar. Mm-hmm. So he's been getting some targets. Odell might be hurt again. With Odell gone, Nelson Aguilar played 75% of snaps on average. Bateman did not play a whole lot this past week. I'm not sure what's going on, but he could be that number 2 receiver. In a game where they're probably going to have to pass to succeed against the Titans defense.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Colts do.
London,
I think the Colts just have a great O-line. That's why they were able to beat them on the ground. But you're going to have to beat Tennessee through the air generally. And I think they would probably – Nelson Aguilar might have himself a sneaky little game this week if he's the number 2 wide receiver in that offense.
I don't mind that. It feels bad for my
it's gross
Bateman life, but it is it seems fine just because he already had a decent week already.
It's definitely
gross, but definitely makes you want to throw up.
It's there.
It is a guy there for sure. I don't hate it. I would, if I had to get a receiver, I don't think he's a bad pickup. My deep target is either Mooney or Trey Palmer.
Palmer, I like that a lot.
Yeah, we don't know at this point. We don't know anything about the Evans situation still. If he's going to miss a week or not, don't know if he will. But if one of Godwin you don't usually want to start one of these guys, but as a deep target, I think he's got a ton of value. If one of Godwin or Evans goes down, which is not unlikely, even if they miss a week, he's a very good start. And even then, he's been productive already. He scored 2 touchdowns this year already. So he's been getting involved. He's been getting snaps. Someone that I think is definitely worth a waiver wire request of 0 fab, whatever. But in a deeper league, especially, I wouldn't, in a shallow 6 bench type of team, I don't know if I'd pick him up. But in a deeper league, I'd definitely like to have him over a example Isaiah Hodgins or Darius Slayton or something. I think I'd probably rather have Trey Palmer on my team.
Oh yeah.
So I also sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to add on to Trey Palmer. He's been on the higher end of snap percentages when it comes to rookies. He's been 86, 83%. and that was obviously before the Mike Evans injury. So we could see him up to maybe 90+% this week. Obviously, you look at his targets per route run and yards per route run aren't great, but that is with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans both in the offense. He could be the number 2 in that offense against the Detroit team that obviously scores a lot of points. They don't allow anything to the running back. They're number 1 or 2 when it comes to points scored to the running back this season. So really the only way you can beat them is through the air. So this would be the week to start Trey Palmer, I think, if there was any, with Mike Evans possibly missing.
Yeah. And I don't know if you saw our guy Douglas had a nice catch again, but he got hurt, got a concussion right after. But nice to see Demario Douglas have a nice play. I actually think he will continue to get more snaps as the season goes through, because they don't have anything. They don't have anything to look forward to in that offense right now.
I know. I think Juju gets phased out probably.
Yeah. And he already has been doing it to himself. I will say that there's probably a little bit of light, holding a candle to like the Patriots offense getting slightly better. I don't think they're going to stay this bad. They'll 100%. Get better.
No team has ever consistently scored 0 and 3 points like the whole season. So
yeah, exactly. And in terms of like fantasy relevant people, I think like Hunter Henry and Ramondre, there's better days ahead for those guys. I don't really know if anyone else is rosterable at this point, but like I said, a deep waiver wire pickup, like a super deep league, dynasty league type of guy, Demario Douglas for sure. I like him. Yeah, but I don't know if you saw the Bears game, the Bears Washington last week. Mooney had four deep targets that Fields barely missed him on, and if he hit him on 1 or 2 of those, he's probably going to taking it to the house. Obviously, DJ Moore did everything that game, and everyone's talking about DJ Moore, rightfully so. But Mooney could have easily had like a 50-yard touchdown, and we would be talking about Mooney too. So someone that I think is kind of left for dead. But I mean, Justin Fields has looked pretty good the last couple of weeks. Obviously, going against pretty bad off defenses, but he's been passing it well, and yeah, I mean, they're going to have to pass it. They're going to keep passing it. Their defense isn't great, so not a bad volume play even. I think he's going to keep getting work in. Same with Cole Kmet. They're all looking pretty good.
100%. I see like Darnell Mooney against a Minnesota team. Teams watch film, like especially if it was a win. Like Minnesota's going to watch that film, and they're gonna try to bracket coverage. They're going to do whatever they can, probably. I mean, maybe not. Maybe Minnesota, but like I think they're going to try to stop DJ Moore, and that's going to open up opportunity at other parts of the field. Minnesota doesn't have great cornerbacks. Darnell Mooney, I think, is a talented receiver, so I think this could be a week where he could have a good game. And I just saw Elijah Moore down there too.
Yeah, I just noticed that too. I was just reading his name.
He's been getting a ton of targets and been playing a ton for the Browns. So that's a guy that, I think I would put him above. Like I might put him just behind KJ Osborne. Now that
he'd be in my top 3 as well. Be Osborne, Downs, and
just because of his usage in that offense, like it's been, he just hasn't had touchdowns or.
Whenever Watson comes back, I feel much better about Moore, but he should be rostered. Yeah. If he's not rostered in your league, I think he should be. So definitely keep an eye on him.
Yeah, and he was on a bye, so he might have been dropped in your league too. So I would just look for that.
Definitely. Anything tight end wise? I don't really have anything pickup wise.
I like Logan Thomas a lot, and I was thinking about picking him up earlier in the season because of his target counts. Like he's the number 1 guy. He was coming back from an injury earlier in the season, so he wasn't really playing a whole lot. Let me pull up his snaps. So he started week 2. I'm sorry, he actually got injured. So week 2, he played 40% of the snaps. He left early, and he didn't play week 3. But he's come back and played 80% of the snaps again, which has been consistent. That included week 1, and in those 3 weeks. Sorry, just going a little slow for me right now.
I have the snaps up if you can see it.
Oh, yeah, I pulled up snaps, so I was just looking at his production. So he had 8 targets week 1, He did have 3 targets against Philadelphia, but 11 targets this week, and going up against Atlanta Falcons, where they have been the number 31 ranked team against tight ends. I would be trying to play him, not obviously over any studs, but I think he'll be a tight end 1 this week, especially, you look at Eric Bieniemy and how successful he was with Travis Kelce.
Yeah, no kidding.
Obviously Logan Thomas isn't Travis Kelce, but he is an athletic tight end. So he is 33 years old. Travis Kelce is 33 years old, so he is Travis Kelce. That's what I'm trying to say.
I like that. Sounds like good to know that Logan Thomas, Travis Kelce. We'll keep that in mind using all my fab on him.
Right.
Yeah, he's a great pickup. He's been getting a ton of work, and Howell likes throwing to the tight end, seems like. So definitely a good pickup. My guy is probably Cade Otton as just a decent pickup. And then same thing with the Trey Palmer stuff. Injury was looming. Otherwise, Dalton Schultz has looked a lot better too. Stroud's looking really good. And Schultz's usage has gone up a ton. So another guy I would be willing to pick up.
I know how much you want to ignore Jonnu too, Matt, because you have Kyle Pitts. However, I think it is he's the third read in this offense for pass catchers, really. I mean, and in some instances it was even before. But he actually got schemed a play. I don't remember. It wasn't Desmond Ridder, but somebody else threw a pass to Jonnu Smith. So he's getting schemed in also. I think they really like him. They have a nice little dynamic duo. So it's possible that they could both be startable options. Meaning Pitts and Jonnu.
They did just get Van Jefferson as like a second receiver. Maybe he replaces Mac Hollins. I'm not really sure. But they may run a lot of 2 tight end sets because it's probably just the tight ends or Drake London at this point. Yeah, run the ball or throw the tight end or Drake London, I think is their game plan right now. Or throw to the running backs too. I should throw a lot of Bijan dump offs and stuff. So not a bad pickup. He's been playing really good. He looks good too. Looks healthy. Can't say that about Pitts every time. So
yeah.
I'd say that it seems like there may be better days ahead for Pitts, which is we've said that before, but he actually looked pretty promising last week. So
yeah, did you see that every one of his routes pretty much he opened to the left?
To the left, yeah, I did see that. It's a little bit alarming.
It's good that they're finding a way for him to be successful while he's healing up. So that's a good sign.
I have just a few minutes left. We can finish this last segment that so we did last week. We introduced the new segment Pick 6. This week we're going to do another new segment, Bait or Bite. Kind of goes around with our treasure mantra that we'd like to chat about. But right now I like as a bait pick, I'm going to give you guys a bait pick and he's going to give you guys a bite pick. So bait, basically what that means is just a player in our leagues that I think specifically is just kind of someone that you could sell high on just off name value, or that happens every time we do this. Name value, or just someone that I think is kind of a mirage that you could bait your league mates into trading for. And right now, I know everyone's going to hate to hear it, but mine is Derrick Henry. I think the snaps, I mean, if you read the tea leaves and just kind of see the snap shares, Tyjae gets a ton of work. This is the first time they've ever featured another back alongside Tyjae Spears, alongside Derrick Henry. So I think Tyjae Spears isn't going to like take over the backfield, but he's sucking a lot of the upside out of Derrick Henry, which, Derrick Henry's best games were when he would get 30 touches, 30, 25 touches. And another thing to note is when they're winning games, Derrick Henry's much more successful. And this Titans team isn't like that good where they're not going to be ahead in many games. Like obviously they beat the crap out of the Bengals, and that's where Henry had a big game. The next week they play the Colts and they're playing from behind, and Derrick Henry's kind of non-existent. Tyjae has a good game and plays a lot. So I think that's someone you can definitely cash in, probably overvalue. Like someone will overpay for him just on name value alone. I just think someone that you could cash in on right now. And I don't think many people want to sell him just because Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry, but I just don't see it anymore, especially with the usage of the backup running back.
Yeah, I think Tajay is good. He's a good player. So I don't think there's no any way he gets phased out of this offense. And I mean, I'd rather have Tajay just because if Derrick Henry gets hurt, then he gets the whole offense, and I think he just goes nuclear.
It's wheels up. Yeah. Yep.
So I actually did have a bait pick, but I have a bite pick too. I don't know.
Okay.
Do you want to do both, or do you want me to just do the bite that I kind of came up with?
You could just do both real quick.
Okay, so I'll just start off with my bite. I think Jalen Waddle has been underperforming, especially with the usage of these running backs. They've been catching passes. I think they've been taking away a lot of Jalen Waddle, but you see Achane is injured right now. He's going to miss some time. And I don't think that, we had the running back tandem last year that's coming back, Jeff Wilson and Mostert, while Waddle was very productive. So I think with Achane's insane explosiveness and his efficiency, leaving this offense, it's got to go somewhere else. I think it's going to go toward Jalen Waddle. He's wide receiver 49 right now. I don't think you have to pay a whole lot to get him.
Love that.
But if he blows up these next few weeks, you might be able to even sell him for higher value. If Achane comes back, he will probably still be good. He's got great matchups in the playoffs for the most part. By Jalen Waddle, and I will just do the quick bait that I had, being George Kittle, with his 3 receptions for 3 touchdowns this past week. Don't get me wrong, Kittle will have weeks like this. He's a great player.
Yeah, no doubt.
However, he's going to be inconsistent because of the target share in this offense. With Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, they're not all going to get fed every week. So, there's going to be weeks like he had the week prior, I believe it was, where he had 1.4 fantasy points. So I'm not saying to sell George Kittle for pennies. I'm saying to try to upgrade, sell him when he was a tight end 1 on the week for a Hawkinson, who's going to get insane volume now because JJ's hurt, for a Kelsey or an Andrews, potentially the guys that are the alphas of their offense at this point. I don't know if I would sell him for Laporta. I think those are just the 3 guys that I would potentially try to get.
Yeah, I think that's a great shot. I like both of those. I love Jalen Waddle, so it's music to my ears. And I also think Kittle will have more bad games than he will good. But obviously he can win you a week, which is valuable. But you could find benefit and get a guy like Hawkinson where he's going to get you like a good floor every week. And then obviously touchdown upside. So love both of those bait and bite picks. So definitely a fun segment. We'll be introducing both of those here and there, pick 6 and bait and bite. And we're still innovating and we're thinking of new segments, but we appreciate you guys hanging out, and make sure to leave a comment of your just tell us what your favorite part of the fantasy season is if you're watching on YouTube. If not, then just leave a review or give us a rating on Spotify if you're listening on the Spotify section as well. Do you have anything for the people?
I just want to say thank you to everyone who's listening. Feel free. We'd love to answer any questions, or if you have any feedback, like things that you want to hear from our show, we'd be happy to try to implement anything.
Yep. This is a work in progress. A ton of work to be done. Obviously, we're going to keep improving, keep trying to work on ourselves here and just the show, try to improve it. So feedback is always appreciated, and we don't take it lightly. We're going to definitely try to use our feedback and make it better. So appreciate that for sure. But good luck everybody. Hopefully you win. Hopefully your opponents have the worst luck, but no injuries. Hopefully, but unluckiness towards your opponents. Hopefully me and TVP get a win this week. But another fun week. Good luck. Hopefully you get your waivers that you like. And we'll see you guys next time.
All right. Best luck, peoples. You got this.
Peace, guys.
Peace.